rise in that first week of play, 5 regulation losses. On the other hand, you've got Elyssar with 4 outright regulation wins. But like you said, a recent string of losses does raise concerns a bit. 2 regulation losses, 1 overtime loss, a streak that Elyssar are desperate to break today. But honestly, if you're looking at statistics, there is no better opponent to break your losing streak against than Outlast.
Yeah, especially now that you have a sub, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You know, Giddy is not playing, it's Focal, and it's not like Focal, like I'm not calling Focal a bad player or not to the caliber of T2, but Giddy's shoes are going to be an extremely hard task to fill. I mean, he's Giddy. He's Giddy too litty. Is there nothing that he can't do? We have seen him time and time again be one of the most consistent performers, not just on his team, but in Challenger League as a whole. He has a big role when it comes to shot calling. You know, he's that main flex player. He plays whatever role the team needs. And Elyssar are going to be missing a big part. But, you know, like Tanner said, like the Des was discussing, as long as Focal can play his role, then it shouldn't be, you know, too debilitating. And they're starting on the defense as well. It's going to be Laundry Room first. This is, as well, I believe Elyssar's preferred side. Yeah, on Oregon in particular, they have an 83% win rate on the defense. So this is the perfect time to, you know, accumulate those points and make Outlast hurt.
Starting things out, not only on the defense, but on the basement side, of course. Nothing too shocking there. The lineup is a little bit more unorthodox in the sense that we have got both the presence of the Warden and the Ella and those Grismont mines that we'll be seeing from Kento. The presence of the Warden is something that's worth talking about because since Repick was introduced, it is so hard to get those Warden picks correct because you no longer have, as a defensive team, that opportunity to go with that 6th pick and pick that Warden when the Ying is teased. Instead, now as an attacking team, you can bring out a Ying whenever you want, whenever you see that there is or isn't a Warden in play. Outlast, though, they will not be bringing out the Ying. They're going to be sticking to pretty traditional guns in terms of their operator selection, repicking away over to the Flores. Athena taking up that mantle of the Rotero drones as the utility clear is likely to be a focus of this attacking team.
It's actually really weird that Warden's being brought out at all because Outlast themselves banned Ying. So it's not like Ying even has a possibility of being played. So don't really know what the play is there for Focal. I mean, it's also perfectly reasonable for him to just be picking Warden for an extra shield, you know, considering we have Kento picking Ella, usually for a shield. You know, Smoke is on the board. If they want another one, you know, might as well take the 1.5 on the MPX. So it could be that he's not taking Warden for the primary utility at all, rather just a good gun and a shield. Meanwhile, Outlast have made their way in the building pretty quickly. You know, only a minute down, they've completely cleared the full top 2 floors, you know, ensuring that there's no one roaming, no one by meeting, no one upstairs. All 5 of these defenders are bunkered down on the site.
Yeah, sitting comfortably and waiting for Outlast to make the first move. I mean, they've cleared out, with that first move, cleared out that first floor pretty successfully. It did take them a minute, but they've got it done. They know it's been cleared, and so they're going to turn their attention to the site below. Athena trying to get that Rotero drone towards that elbow position in bunker, but it will not even get close because Focal will shoot that out. So important for him to keep an eye on those Rotero drones and that utility as it pours in, because if, in theory, he can keep shooting out those Rotero drones, then, well, I guess Athena is not going to have much use with these. We'll send a second one in. Likely telegraph, though. Focal shooting it out. Once again, no problem. Here's the difference maker, though. Some stuns are coming into the mix. Vivid has also been stunned, as Tra has joined the push over towards this pillar's side, as the rest of Outlast also hoping to get this one done soon, sending a nade through, finally forcing Focal back.
He's not going to reinforce, though. The nade does not catch him, and he's going to end up just pushing himself back in through elbow. Alec with the opening pick on the Jewel gives his team the advantage, and there's another one for Focal. Woos tries to skirt on by and ends up getting his head caught. In comes the E-box drop. Inrio shuts down one, and there's no headway made by the other just yet. In fact, he will simply walk into his death. Vivid gets the finisher right on the other side of that bunker doorway, and it's a pretty swift shutdown from ER.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, we talked about Focal having to do his job coming into this as a sub, and I gotta say, I think on that basement defense, he did exactly what he was supposed to do, and that is stall out the bunker push. He shot out those drones as they worked their way in. He applied just enough pressure towards those attackers as they came in so they would not feel comfortable to just push in and just send it on into elbow, but he didn't apply too much pressure that he overstayed his welcome and got punished and forced out. Instead, he stayed passive just the right amount, taking the gunfight only when Outlast were forcing the issue and trying to take that fight. I think it was Woos who just kind of sprinted on in, hoping to get past that angle. Focal said, yeah, no thank you, I'm gonna take you down. He took that fight, he won that gunfight no problem, and that was just one of the factors that contributed to a beautiful, flawless round to kick things off.
Yeah, I mean, beautifully played by Elyssar. There was really nothing to stop them from just standing there. That's kind of that's been a big problem for Outlast in their attacks, right? Well, first of all, Outlast have been struggling all around. Second of all, Outlast have really been struggling on the attack. Like, get this, Jonah. So far this season, Outlast have won less than a third of their attacking rounds.
Wow.
Which definitely makes sense considering a lot of the games we see Outlast play, they go down 5-1 on their attacks. And it's... And one of the biggest struggles we see is, one, not being able to close out rounds, and two, sometimes even getting those rounds started to begin with. They tend to struggle with clearing those, dug-in positions like we see on Oregon Basement, in the back of Pillar, on the barrel's door, in elbow,
boy.
and oh my god, Tra just got wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that is a shot and a half there from Vivid. He'll get punished for his flashy shot, as Blank will then just walk into Master and take down the mute, but going 1-for-1 with the Zofia, I don't think Vivid minds too much. Outlast now have the control of Master they need to open up this closet wall if they can get that mute jammer dealt with, which will likely be Woo's job as he works his way down below, but you've got to be careful. There is at least one defender in position. I believe that is Young Alec. Yes, sitting around the corner in Z, hoping to stall out this attack, hoping to stall out Woo's as he works his way through. A drone, though, at Woo's feet should communicate Young Alec's position to the Finka. As he creeps around the corner, he will be moving so slowly, pre-firing just in the nick of time. He had a ping on that position, and Young Alec had no idea.
I really thought the drone didn't go far enough because we couldn't see it on Alec's screen, but it could be one of the situations where it just sees, like maybe the point of the foot or the near elbow sticking out. Either way, Young Alec could not see the drone, but the drone could see him, and it will result in his death. It's a man advantage for Outlast. They know this situation all too well. The question is, are they going to be singing a different tune and actually be able to capitalize on it? In the meantime, Blank works his way around, opens up Attic, and guarantees that Outlast have another avenue into the site. As Atheno goes in Gone 6's the barbed wire, he takes a couple shots from Inrio, who's tasked with holding two angles, not only the Attic walk-up, but the main game's breach as well. In comes Focal for an assist, but those Outlast attackers are not peeking, so the smoke can't find anything just yet. He's still got two gas canisters with 45 seconds left, so not too bad, but Jules coming up from White could catch the smoke if he's not prepared, but he's currently gassed off. Blank is setting up the execute. In comes Atheno, and Outlast begin to constrict the site.
Kento has taken a little bit of damage, but he's repositioned in the back of Dorms, hoping to leverage this DMR in this long angle position to clutch up the round. It's Inrio who gets the first, and Kento on cue gets the second, but now the bomb's going down, and Woos is applying the coverage. He gets one on the coverage, but now has to find a couple of more, but Focal slams him into the ground with the SMG. It's all up to Blank, who whips out the pistol, and Kento, with a swing from behind, shoots him in the back, and gets an easy counter defuse. It is Outlast fumbling the man advantage once again.
Blank got that plant down. The issue was what happened during said plant attempt. Outlast, I feel like, like I said, we're constricting the site, but had spread their man count a little too thin. Because you have the plant going down from Blank. You're essentially in like a 3 versus 3, as long as he sticks that case. You have one person Attic, one person White, one person Breach, not really in range to refrag each other. And Outlast drop the man count. Atheno loses his fight in Attic. I think it was Jewel loses his fight top white, and there's no recourse. I mean, sure, Inrio eventually peeks out of the attic door and dies to the cover of Wooz, but then Wooz is slammed by Focal because Wooz has to worry about the top white rotate that Jewel is no longer covering, as well as the concrete swing because Athena no longer has coverage in attic. Trying to look at two places at once, Focal mows him down. Sure, Blank gets the refrag, but then Elyssar turned that constriction around onto the last remaining attacker. So well played to Elyssar on that retake. It definitely went down a lot closer than I think they would have liked, but they still come away with a 2-0.
Now they will shift to the tertiary bomb site here, and they will choose to go with meeting and kitchen rather than its sister bomb site of dining and kitchen, as is relatively common these days. Meeting is almost always going to be that favored site for the defense and make attackers work a little bit harder to actually get that bomb down. If they do choose to focus on the meeting side and pressuring stage like we do see most often, there is some pressure upstairs that's going to have to be applied. At the very least, you've got to maintain some control over attic, making sure that the defense cannot retake and play the vertical on your plant position. That's why we can see Elyssar setting up a substantial vertical hold, mostly geared up towards this attic position, less so to dorms, kids, and games, mostly just to protect a very small segment of this top floor that could make or break an attacking round.
You got to make sure they conserve enough of their time on this top floor clear to properly set up for an execute, because so many times we'll see attacking teams, end up with full top floor control, maybe even a man advantage, but then get stuck with like 20 seconds to push. So Outlast have got to get a move on. I mean, they've only burned a minute, which is pretty good timing thus far, but Wooz gets off the angle at the wrong time. Alec almost capitalizes and kills him, but not quite yet. He's got a shield to play behind. In comes the nade to burn it, but it goes all the way up to the other side of the doorway. Luckily for the attack, the nade, or the Wamai disc rather, is still in range of that Wamai disc. And as the attackers barrel their way through into the middle of dorms and claim this top floor control, they get forced farther and farther back in through attic, and thus you see Alec already falling back to site. I imagine the second defender will as well, but Kento decides to make a stake up here in tower, maybe even pushing through later in the round.
I mean, he knows, and smartly so, that Outlast, they've only just secured this control, and they're probably not compensating for every bit of that top floor they actually need to be keeping an eye on at the very least, right? Right now, instead of focusing on, oh, is there somebody sneaking up behind, they're focusing on turning that pressure into the site down below. Not meeting this time as we expected. Instead, focusing on kitchen and pressuring out the deployable shield that's in the middle of the site. That gets dealt with nicely from above. Tra will follow that up with a kill onto young Alec, and it looks like the play from Kento was very telegraphed much earlier on than they expected. That leaves Focal and Vivid last alive here against 5 Outlast attackers who are ready to go for this plant, and Blank, even though he is forced to relocate, he's still going to get this one down. Focal, though, going on the swing, cannot quite finish off the planter. It's the smoke that will actually get the down, but Tra will finish off the echo, and it is all on the shoulders of Vivid.
Plant going down once again, out of gas canisters because he used them all on the initial, and Wooz finishes him off. A bit of mistiming between the initial smoke and Focal's swing. They couldn't really catch the ace, switching plant spots. Focal as well, spending a little too much time in that doorway shooting at the ace's backpack. I think that's what was sticking up. And of course, Siege now, clothing doesn't count as hitbox. So, I know it's a big issue with Lion. Didn't think it was an issue with Ace as well, but I stand corrected. Outlast with a very good top floor take. They force those defenders all the way back towards tower, all the way back into sight. And as Elyssar try to kind of climb their way back into the top floor, I guess there must have been perfect flank watch coverage from Outlast because they were fully aware, shut down Kento, shut down everyone else trying to retake. And from there, 5 versus 2, sure, it's against a smoke and an echo, but Outlast had the angles covered.
So Outlast take their first round in a pretty dominant one at that. It wasn't the cleanest of executes. There was quite a mess when it came to Blank actually getting the bomb on the ground, but once that attack was able to secure control of the top floor and get the couple of frags that followed, it was really just about going through the motions, pressuring the site, having the proper coverage on the attackers, and really just froze those defenders in place and took the round because of it. Good stuff from them. They've just got to find that as much as they can. Keep on pressuring Elyssar. Make sure they cannot stay comfortable, because right now, they're comfortable enough to bring out a creative roam, or at least a setup right now. Vivid will make a rotate over on the attic side, because despite this being a basement hold, we are seeing quite a roam from Elyssar this time around.
See if it's flushed back as efficiently as we just saw in the previous round. Kento's already going back down to the basement. That leaves, I believe, what was it, the Jaeger of Inrio, I think, on the top floor alone? No, he's actually already backed off to T2 of Tower. So what I thought was going to be, or what we thought was going to be a pretty extended roam, looked like maybe it was just to shoot out drones. And even then, they only waste 45 seconds. They only get one drone off of it. But, I mean, the whole play of this defense last time was to completely bunker down anyway, so... And there's a second drone, so I'm sure, Elyssar don't really care all that much.
Yeah, look at that. Only seconds after we saw Vivid running upstairs to make an attic rotate, everyone is back on site, it seems. A minute has been wasted, though, for Outlast in this attack, but really that is pretty successful in terms of an overall roam clear to take only a minute to take care of the entire map, and now you can already begin opening up these hatches, working an attacker down Freezer. Honestly, a perfect spot to be in right now. It's just about transitioning now from this map control phase to an actual execute phase, dealing with the on-site utility, deciding on an approach to take to this bomb site. Last time, if you recall, it was a bunker elbow push that was attempted, and that was really had no even chance of succeeding.
Yeah, they all tried to barrel in, and they got swatted down pretty efficiently by the Elyssar defenders. This time they have Freezer open, so maybe a different push. Atheno clearing that barb, someone already making their way down the Freezer stairs. They'll have to tussle with Alec and whoever that is holding the crossfire all the way from closet. I know Ella is, that's Ella actually behind the shield in the hallway, so he's got a little bit more coverage to play with. Flashes go out, though, and he's worried that the shield might be next, as Outlast have completely swapped the push. They're pushing completely Laundry and Freezer side. With 40 seconds remaining, they have a decent bit of time as all of the utility dump goes in, but there's no kills just yet. Outlast have not found that opening that they're looking for into the site to try and whittle away that man count, force a reposition from this defense they can capitalize upon. In fact, it will be Blank to finally get that opening pick onto Focal. Refragged by Vivid, but Tra answers with a nade back onto young Alec. In comes the Finka, but he's being deterred by the gas canisters. Meanwhile, Blank gets one, Jewel dropping behind gets two. Inrio's alone, and Jewel, with the bearing 9, finishes it. Outlast end up tying the score.
Yeah, the transition I talked about from the map control to the actual execute. Essentially a flawless transition, applying enough pressure to Freezer, enough pressure to Laundry to force out that utility from the defense within, I'd say, relatively good time frame. And once they felt comfortable, Outlast gave the call. They said 3, 2, 1, let's just send it on in. They did. They took their gunfights and they won them. It seemed that, well, for the first time, Elyssar just got swarmed, inundated by an attack that kind of came out of nowhere. And before they knew it, there were really no safe spots on the site. Even Bunker, even Elbow, one of the, you would think, most secure spots on this basement site. I mean, it was Jewel who whipped out the bearing 9, turned around, and then just slammed that last player to finish off the round. So good job on Outlast. They'll take a second one.
Yeah, Elyssar just got overwhelmed, especially too the perfectly timed E-box drop there from, I think it was Jewel. I'm fairly certain it was Jewel on the Hibana. That late E-box drop working, out for 2 picks is almost necessary when you have a Laundry Freezer attack like that, when Elyssar is so bunkered down. You need someone to try and break up that monotony, someone to come in and wedge themselves where Elyssar don't expect, and at the very least, turn a couple defenders' attention away, but it turned out to just work for kills. So well done to Jewel, and we now have Blitz and Lion. So I don't think it's going to be a Laundry push again, Jonah. They're probably going to go fast and hard into Elbow, really take advantage of Focal, but remember, he's Warden, so the Blitz has got to be careful.
What I hope Outlast thought about this one. I really do hope, well, part of the discussion was, you think he's going to play Warden again? Nope, probably not. Or, yeah, let's overwhelm him, because if Blank now stares a Warden in the face, Well, the Warden's going to win that fight almost every single time. Here comes Blank. Focal is ready for it, hopefully activating that gadget in time, but it doesn't look like it. He will get caught out. Blank is able to take this control, but Inrio and Kenzo, they're providing support from elsewhere. All of a sudden, it is all up to Atheno, who collects a kill onto Inrio, now onto Kenzo. Focal, who was downed by the Blitz, will now get revived, and young Alec, supporting him, will hope to win this 2v1 engagement. Focal is essentially one shot, but Atheno is as well, so both of these defenders can play pretty comfortably, but within about 2 seconds, I mean, an Execute just kind of ran on in and got, well, torn apart, not by the player who we thought was going to be the key defender, not by Focal, the Warden, instead by the rest of the defense providing ample coverage from behind.
Yeah, Inrio still in pillar, and Kento holding the crossfire from Freezer, showing up big and shutting down a majority of that push. Leaves it all on Atheno, who's going to try and have an initial plant attempt, but in comes an impact, and while he's so low HP, that's all Elyssar really needs to close out the round. And Jenna, remember earlier in this game when I argued that despite Ying being banned, Focal is probably playing Warden, less for the glasses and more for the shield? I think that just proved my point. He did not activate the glasses once. He ran away from the Blitz, was full blind, ran away, and got downed, only saved by Kento, again, holding onto that Freezer cross. So that could have very easily have been stunted by a simple, flip of the switch and Warden activating the goggles, maybe meleeing the Blitz and shutting down that shield. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Focal running away did bait the Blitz and a teammate in further to be capitalized upon Kento, and although Atheno had a good try in cleaning up, killing not only Kento, but I think Inrio as well, a nice 2-piece for the Iana, he was so low at the end of the day that all Elyssar need do was pretty much sneeze on him, and he was a dead man, which means Elyssar have stopped Outlast's comeback. They've retaken that lead 3-2 and are looking to take the 4-2 half on Dorms.
And I gotta say, I think this might be a record since the stage started. For longest time, we've gone on a stream without a sound bug. And unfortunately, that time has ended, right? You didn't even notice. It felt like we were just back to normal Siege again. But unfortunately, we are now back to sound bug Siege again. So no worries about that. It's just going to be a couple of rounds with limited audio, and we'll get to see how Outlast finalize their attacking half. If they could get one more attacking blow and get one more win on the board, I mean, they will be setting themselves up really well for that next half. I mean, Outlast are a team that we've talked a lot about. Attack is where they struggle the most. And if they, I mean, they've already kind of remedied that a little bit by getting the 2 rounds, that standard of rounds when you can expect this map to go generally with that 4-2 split. But if they can get just a single round more, that this final attack, I would honestly say they have more than a fighting chance on that second half.
I definitely agree with you. And I also agree how sad it is that we have no sound. It's like the game decided that we've had it far too good for far too long. We didn't show our gratitude enough, and so the game ripped it away from us. But either way, we have a Mira strat on this top floor, something we have not seen yet this match, with Inrio positioning a Mira to watch Pit from Kid Storms and one to watch Trophy from Attic. He's even got a shield to cover his back. This is a rather intriguing strategy. Now, unfortunately for Inrio, there is no Wamai in play, so there isn't a whole lot to stop the burn and clear. And just as I say that, right on cue, in comes the nade. Inrio is going to get the hell out of there. There's no kill for Outlast, but the mirror window is rendered almost completely nullified.
Yeah, Inrio has to back off, and there's no real support from anybody over on that Trophy side, but it's Vivid who just steps up.
All right.
I mean, just with all the courage in the world and takes a fight on the breach. He quickly gets traded, though, as, well, the confidence got a little bit, we'll call it the better of him there. It's Atheno's turn to step up, this time on the attacking side, as Inrio's other mirror window is going to be his final real resting place for this round. Waiting for Atheno to push in, dropping Pit right now is death for Atheno until Jewel gets up. That's going to be the key. If Jewel can maybe send one of those air jabs into the corner, force Inrio out, I mean, this could be a good development for Outlast, and they could get the control they need.
Doesn't we really need to force Inrio out? Because if Inrio goes to the side of the wall to peek the players in Pit, he's going to die to the angle held by Nomad. It's not deep enough to kill the mirror window itself, but it's deep enough to stop said swing. Jewel has now repositioned to big window. So he's no longer protecting Atheno from the swing, which I definitely think is a mistake should they go for this pit play, but otherwise gas canister coming out. Tra's just going to barrel his way on through. Alec kills him. There's Inrio getting the kill through pit, and now it's Jewel alone, and he just dies out the window. So it looked like they had a pretty decent setup, and then Outlast pushed through smoke and completely dropped the bag.
Right, that round felt like the Outlast attacks that we have seen leading up to this point, this stage. The attacks where they get the setup and they're in position, maybe they get a kill leading up to it, but then when they actually go for the push, it's disjointed, it doesn't make a ton of sense, and there were definitely some gaps in the thought process. That's what happened in round number 6. Again, like you said, a couple of just poor decisions that opened the door for Inrio to be more effective than he should have been in pit. Atheno hoping that he could literally just walk in. He just tried to literally just walk in, and no chance. He's going to get fried by it. So now we're looking at a successful Elyssar defense. Overall, a successful Elyssar half, a 4-2 split that they'll secure. So Outlast, they've got to shift things and shift that mentality to the defensive side. They are still in a solid spot. 2 rounds on the attack is, well, a job done well enough. The question is, can they hold off the Elyssar attacking aggression long enough to get some rounds under their belt?
And are they going to have the wherewithal to stop Kento on Finka? That's the big question. Kento, I mean, not only has he been, a star entry, like the analyst desk has said, on that Finka LMG, on Oregon in particular, he was a demon. He powered the hell up and destroyed pretty much everything in his path. Hopefully, Outlast have more of an answer than, I believe it was TTK did against Elyssar. We see the Mira coming out for Outlast as well, only this time it's bolstered by the Thunderbird, so they've got a lot of longevity with those Mira window positions. If a nade goes out, perhaps it doesn't destroy those kind of stations, and the defender can get healed up a bit. If there's anyone roaming, they can come back to site, get healed up. First Flores drone goes out. Interestingly enough, it doesn't actually destroy anything. It looked like it was maybe more for scouting than anything else, but either way, speaking of scouting, Elyssar have already done that for pretty much the entirety of the map. There's only one player who looks like he's still upstairs by T2, and interestingly enough, we have Blank holding Kento's freezer stairs with Jaeger shotgun.
Well, it took one swing with the M870, and he will quickly get out of there.
No.
He is going to be like, okay, that's a bad idea. Don't want to take a fight at that range against the LMG and potentially Kento, who can overheal himself for just a bit with the Finka boost, so he'll back off. Kento will also not push down Freezer just yet as the rest of the attack. He's going to wait for the rest of the attack to just work their way in the building, get some of these hatches open before actually making any progress that could be considered a bit too far too soon. Right now, Focal is going to turn his attention to utilizing these Rotero drones, sending one down in straight into the middle of the hatch, sneaking in right in position of that mirror window and perfectly placed to deal with some utility, but I don't believe that is actually going to pop the mirror window. It should still be in play, but it will be enough to open up the site a little bit and deal with some utility. In fact, it will be enough to remove those ADSs from that mirror window position so that when bunker is taken by Elyssar, they can push in without too much issue.
Yeah, explosives, unfortunately for the attack, do nothing to break or stop mirror windows. Kento gets Atheno, I think, trying to ascend that staircase. Interesting decision there, I guess, from the defense. Kento lands another onto Tra before young Alec is fragged by that Jaeger shotgun we were talking about. Close angle on E-Box. Anyone struggled to deny or to die from that angle, but Blank backs off. He's now teaming with his teammate on kind of like elbow-ish on the mirror window before Blank pushes back up. There's someone just on the other side of the wall, but as he rotates through, he catches the Flores. Kento, in the meantime, gets his third kill with a nade. Vivid is getting lit up by this M870. Blank right now is really the only thing holding this defense together as Woos is backed off all the way towards Freezer. In comes the attack, though. And Hibana now relocating after taking a ton of damage. Blank so low on HP. Kento's looking for the kill, but Woos comes in for the assist. In comes the pre-fire from Vivid, though, leaving it all up to this mute. He's got a C4 in hand, but Inrio's got the coverage. Woos is going to have to peek out too far into the line of sight of this Maverick if he wants to throw that explosive. He'll dodge the shots for now, but again, as he throws it, Inrio catches him. and Elyssar take their first attack.
Yeah, didn't even throw it in the right spot. He wasn't sure where the bomb was going down. C4 really wouldn't have mattered. Only thing it could have done is kill the coverage so he could eventually swing the planter himself and take the person down in that close corner. But Outlast there, just a defense that fell apart right away. Elyssar rolled through that without much issue at all. The only saving grace Outlast had, and I don't think I've ever said this, it was an M870 in the hands of a Jaeger. The only saving grace. It was blank, literally wasted, I'd argue, just shy of 30 seconds swinging back and forth on that E-box door. I mean, he was E-box door to that breach, just kept going back and forth and back and forth. He actually got several kills in that position as well, but he also just delayed a ton of time. He allowed Woos to be effective, who really was in an awkward spot, not enough to deny the actual push-in pillar as he was playing passive on that freezer door. But blank, putting in the work, just couldn't do enough because the rest of his team kind of just died.
Yeah, everything crumbled around him, and now Outlast take that timeout. Sorely needed. They're down 5-2. Definitely agree with that decision. Elyssar are now attacking dorms, the upstairs site. And what do we see? A Cade from Jewel. I mean, Elyssar have plenty of nades. They have plenty of destruction to go from below, clear it. I mean, even a nade through the window is usually enough to destroy the Electro Claw, so they shouldn't be too tripped up by this. Especially if it's just going on the ceiling, they're going to be very easily cleared. I'm going to be honest, I don't really see the point of playing the Cade. Especially, you're putting it on tower? They have a Mav. You're just gonna Mav it. I mean, I guess, you kind of stop drones from going through or whatever, but again, they can just destroy below and clear it. I don't know. I don't really agree with the Cade pick. 5 seconds left. I think it's a bit of a waste of an operator, but, we'll see. I guess we'll see. We'll see if Elyssar get tripped up by it at all.
Well, interesting tidbit. We actually saw a repick off the Mav. Inrio going Mav to Nomad, which is risky given that there is a Cade on the board, but now gives that Electroclaw utility a little bit more power, right? You're not going to have to worry about a breaching torch just kind of working its way through a wall irrespective of whatever denial is on the other side. But like you said, you can still work your way below. Elyssar is a very methodical team. They know exactly what it takes to open up these walls if they do want to actually approach it. And look at this. Young Alec is already in Classroom, unimpeded on the entry so far. So if he wants to get that Electroclaw or that Mute Jammer off the wall, he'll be able to do that at a moment's notice. Right now, he's working his way over to join Kento instead, as we may be seeing a bit more of an aggressive approach from Elyssar than we might have expected. Already, exothermic charge on the wall and detonating, blank force back. You already have Focal up inside of Master as well, holding a close angle. Joining Kento now is going to be, well, his teammate from behind, Inrio, who's going to set up a couple of air jabs and pressure these white stairs.
And here we see why the Maverick was swapped off. It's easy enough to clear an Electroclaw on the games wall, but they don't care about Attic. So there's no need to take the Maverick at all. They have nades from below. Kento clearing through kitchen. Well, unfortunately for his team, not find any kills with that. We saw Tra challenging him earlier, but it was unsuccessful. Young Alec from below, denying that initial Cade Electroclaw, staying beneath, looking through the holes, making sure that Jewel couldn't trick the wall with the Cade Claw he still has in pocket. And the attack really has to worry about Woos. This is their main point of contention, is the Mute downstairs, playing with a C4 that the attackers are going to have to clear if they want a safe entry into the site. Kento somehow has made his way all the way up white, sees the barrel of blank from around the corner, and gets his freebie. Now the defense extremely worried about this position, but not for long. Tross swipes him down, Jewel another kill off screen, and a man advantage in the favor of the defense, at least until Focal refrags the Cade. Woos is still downstairs, gas canisters coming out to delay the Showers Hall push as well. That allows the retreat up white stairs, but in the meantime, the attackers have the site. Young Alec already has the cutoff. Atheno gets a nice kill from below. He drops Case, but Tra is alone in Attic, low HP. Taking a duel against Young Alec will deal a lot of damage, but also allows Inrio in the site. Atheno has to retake through. Young Alec seems to know, and he'll catch the smoke in the act, leaving it all on the low HP Jaeger, stuck inside of Attic with his pistol out. Young Alec picks up the Case. He'll start the plant attempt. All Inrio need do is watch. Couple pot shots being sent out by the Jaeger. He'll eventually leave Attic, but he's caught by Inrio. There's no way he's winning that round. Elyssar put themselves on their 6th point.
The big problem there for Outlast, and the reason they lost the round, was the fact that there were 2 defenders, not 1, 2 defenders, stuck downstairs, and only one on the site. When it mattered the most, when Elyssar were executing on the bomb site, we had the smoke and the mute tucked below in security. That exposed the site far too much. Elyssar, having identified that because Inrio was down below tussling with both of those players as the Nomad was trying to set up some air jabs, flash, and hold flank. Easy call out to the team to say, hey, just go to the site. There's only one player. It's only Tra, just the Jaeger. Just send it in and take the control. And once they did, it's siege. It's not easy to retake these objectives, and Outlast learned that the hard way. It's not too unusual to see at least one player down below with the C4, and to have somebody supporting them in the early round is totally understandable. But it becomes an issue in the late round when the execute is happening and you're letting your teammates on the site. You're leaving them out to dry. That's what Outlast did there, and it's why now that Elyssar have match point up by 4 rounds here.
Yeah, it's tough for Outlast. Seems like their struggles this stage have still not been amended. And, I mean, they're going to try downstairs. They've got Cade once again. Inrio, though, swaps off Maverick for the second time in a row with the Electro Claws on the board. So, hatch play might be a little bit more difficult for Elyssar, considering they don't have the Mav freebie. I believe they also have a Cade Claw covering the Mira window in elbow, if I'm not mistaken. I saw it. Yeah, it looked like it was electrified. Oh, no, he still got it in pocket. I don't know where Jules going to put it. He can put it wherever the hell he wants, I guess. The Mira windows were pretty efficiently dealt with by Elyssar, though, in the previous round, thanks to, fast pushing through Bunk and such. The Flores drones as well. Early challenge up Freezer from Tra, too, but he won't. I don't even think he'll catch a drone until... Nope, not even until now. He will simply just be forced back downstairs. No Jaeger shotgun today.
Yeah, he's got the 416 this time. He does not want to play the same gamble, dancing around with a shotgun. I mean, he was pretty impactful, but maybe he'll be more impactful now that he can play at range with something other than a single-shot pistol. He'll get droned out, but he will stay in that position in Freezer because, once again, Elyssar aren't going to press the issue too much just yet. They're going to focus on taking the rest of this first floor control before they actually end up pinching down on the site below. You've got Kento, a key part of this clear, who's working his way over to the tower side, dealing with that camera, and I'm sure he'll send his drone down below as well. You've got Focal with those Rotero drones, who was very effective with these drones last time and gave a couple of opportunities for Elyssar to just send their way on in, denying that utility before they even had to clear it the old-fashioned way. So if he can use those Rotero drones successfully again, Elyssar will be set up in a pretty good position.
Only thing I'm worried about is the only hatch they have open is Laundry. E-Box and Freezer are both cated off, and because Inrio swapped onto Iana from Maverick, there's really no way for Elyssar to open it, and it seems like they're completely abandoning that train of thought, simply setting up outside bunk door, opening it now. Drones are coming in, a reposition of the shield into elbow from Blank, it looks like. Stuns coming in as well to burn, nading... I don't really know what Inrio was nading there. Maybe it was a bit of a misclick, but he'll make sure no one's playing right by the barrel's doorway. Tra has backed off and is instead playing inside of E-Box. He'll stop the Iana clone from coming in, and there's only 45 seconds left, and Elyssar are struggling to even push through the double door.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the last seconds because Blank still has another toxic smoke in his pocket and can use it as the moment this other smoke disperses. There he goes. He'll throw it out, and Inrio's just going to send it on through, straight into his own grave, however, as Jewel joins him in collecting another kill. Kento falls. Tra will get lit up a lot here in E-Box, but in a 3v5, Elyssar are once again trapped with not a lot of options. Focal will push in, but he is stuck between a rock and a hard place between E-Box and that bunker player. He'll walk in and get fried by Blank. Young Alec works his way back around up top, but Woos has retaken into Meeting Hall and has taken down Young Alec. Last alive is Vivid. He has no time, and he will pick up a kill, but it simply doesn't matter. He'll get fragged out in the end by a nice bonus C4 kill from Jewel, but a nice round there from Outlast. Just some poor operator selection and poor execution of what really didn't look like a plan at all, to be frank, from Elyssar.
Yeah, it looked like a purely reactionary measure after pretty much losing the round in the operator selection phase. The Cade was brought last round. I guess they didn't do proper drone work. I do like Outlast, with Jewel holding onto those Electro Claws till the very end of prep phase so that Elyssar couldn't see the electrified hatches and be like, oh, Cade, hey, we need Maverick. Instead, they keep it in their pocket. They keep the Cade hidden because obviously Elyssar aren't going to be droning into the site in prep phase. They don't want to waste drones like that. Inrio's no longer Maverick. They have no way to open hatches, and it completely defeated them. I mean, Elyssar could do nothing about it. They were forced to barrel their way in through bunk. It was too late by the time they completed the full rotation. Gas canisters heavily delayed them. No E-box hatch means that Tra can hold that crossfire from E-box onto the bunker doorway, and there was nothing Elyssar could do. Very well played to Outlast, and super unfortunate that Elyssar really dropped the only operator that could save them from that fate. But we are going back to Dorms, a site that we just saw Outlast play and lose.
10 seconds to insertion.
And Elyssar, they're not going to bring out the Maverick once again because they know that Electro Claws or not, they should be fine and going for a similar take. Jewel is really trying to get creative with this claw position, putting it actually more on the wall than usual, embedded in the wall even, so that when you work your way down below, maybe you have a little bit harder time as an attacking team to actually deal with that claw. I suppose it'll delay maybe a little bit of time. I doubt it's something that Elyssar are going to miss entirely, but who knows? Because right now, their structure, again, without a Maverick, is likely going to be on that game's breach, yes, but also by applying a good bit of pressure down below. Taking some vertical control and working their way up white stairs is likely to be a late option.
I'm hoping they don't allow Kento a free walk up white this time, because, I mean, killing that Aruni kind of initiated that whole push from Elyssar. I mean, even though he got refragged, it allowed the rest of the attack to move in through that breach because the defenders are so preoccupied with killing the White Stairs player. And Elyssar, again, look like they do not give a single crap about Attic. They're going to just continue to push on in below, use their nades to capitalize, and hopefully get a kill from underneath, and eventually move up white. Now, unfortunately for the Cade, his cheeky little Electro Claw spot won't end up mattering, but there's a trick. I think he just threw the second one? No? I swear to God, I thought I saw him chuck it, but I guess it didn't hit the wall, if he did.
At the very least, not in time. More X-Kairos pellets able to detonate. Actually, Inrio is the first player to die. That one at the hand of Tra on the Jaeger, who is just kind of, I suppose, running down below and hunting for these kills. Unsure of where that happened, but in the meantime, you do have a lot of site pressure being applied right now from Elyssar. You've got Vivid trying to flash the breach and force anybody off if they're positioned close. Also, of course, burning some utility as he's hoping to clear the way for Focal and the nade that blows up the deployable shield. As such, Athena will be forced back. He'll use that Toxic Babe to delay this position a little bit longer, and it will down Kento, or at least Kento gets downed as he works his way over by the Showers corridor, but he will revive himself as Finka is able to do that. C4, though, from Jewel. He's going to continue to tease this one, forcing Elyssar to back off, and it's working. This tease is enough to keep Elyssar on their toes. They don't want to push in just yet. You see young Alec. He wants an option to escape, and all of this is giving Tra an opportunity to work a flank.
That's a great little bait there, but Vivid, unfortunately for Tra, is watching that flank. They must have had an additional drone on it, or after Tra shot that initial drone, it was just game over for him. Good play by Vivid to even up that man count, but still, it looks like Elyssar don't have that opening they're looking for into the site. There's no opportunity until Kento and Focal make them. Kento barrels his way up white once again, gets another kill, looking for a third, doesn't see Woos in time, but still, plant going down, nothing Woos can do about it. The C4 not going to be in range. It's far too late, and it's not even in the right spot. Now a 1v3 retake into Dorms with the big window open. Someone coming in through Trophy as well. Focal easily finishes him off, and Elyssar take round 10. It looked like they didn't have the opportunity they were looking for, at least not until Kento barreled his way up white for free yet again.
Yeah, it may have taken them a round or two, a little bit longer than they might have expected, or it may have looked like in terms of the overall round breakdown, but a 7-3 victory by Elyssar over